Okay, here we are, Friday afternoon. It is Friday afternoon, so you didn't hear from me or see any video from my morning. Probably because it was like every other Friday morning has been for quite a while. Nothing exciting, nothing new. Early start. Got up at 3:30 for work, like usual. Went to work. Actually, I skipped some of my errands after work. Because I had to throw one in there that I don't normally do, and it made me reconsider how much time I spend doing errands after work. So at some point, I'm going to have to get rid of that big bag of recycling in the back of my truck, and at some point, I'm going to have to fill that gas tank in the back of my truck for lawn mowing purposes. But I've got a service man coming to the house to work on some plumbing, and so I wanted to make sure I was home in time to get some things done and squared away before they got here. That included a little bit of a nap, which is often necessary on Fridays to make me less of a miserable asshole as the evening goes on and tiredness kicks in. So, mission accomplished. I bought a neck massager, shiatsu massager. I don't know why it's called a shiatsu massager. It's just to plug it in and it, one of those kind of deals. And it felt pretty good, and it seemed to help a little bit. But I think that the cycle of movement actually tangled the shit out of my hair. When I got done and I stood up and kind of ran my hands back here like I'm doing right now, I was like, holy crap, like I had knots in my hair to get out, which is, my hair's too long. Actually, no, my hair's long. It's not too long. It's thinning, as you can tell. But my hair's curly, and boy, it can really knot up harshly. It doesn't help when it comes to the thinning, because I end up yanking some of it out trying to get out the knots, but whatever. I have gotten in the habit of putting my sheets from my bed, pillowcases and all that good stuff, in the laundry when I leave for work on Friday, so that when I get home from work, I can just throw them in the dryer and have a new, fresh, clean, nicely made bed when I go to bed tonight. Fridays are long days, and I'm tired, and that fresh made, fresh smelling bed puts a smile on my face. Just the thought that in a matter of hours, I'll be there. It's the simple things. This is actually the second video that I've made for today. The first one, I pretty much mentioned the things that I have just mentioned now, but I got a phone call. After years of needing some things done to the house, I just got off the phone with a contractor, and I think I'm going to finally get some of these projects started. So, I'm kind of excited about that. If you don't know the situation here, my parents bought this house about 32 or 3 years ago. My father is abhorrently lazy when it comes to maintaining anything that he buys, including his home. So there have been things neglected in this house that I am now trying to rectify. I'm feeling a little bit of pressure, although his health is not real dire. He's old, and he's not taking care of himself, and he certainly has some issues that could cause a rapid decline. But as long as he's living, he's paying for anything that needs to be done. Things that he should have been paying for over the last 30 years to have fixed on his home. So I'm excited to get some of this stuff started while he's still alive and still paying for it. Yeah. So there's that. I've done what I can, which is very little, but excited to get the next step started. And then hopefully in the next year or two is what I would imagine it will take, maybe longer, the house will be kind of brought up to speed, like where it should be for a house that's, in the grand scheme of things, not that old of a house. But I still pray, if that's the right word, when we have thunderstorms. Still cross my fingers and hope for hail. Yeah. Hail would mean the insurance company would help pay for a new roof. Hasn't been that long, but it needs done. So, there's that. Anyway, I guess I need to get rowing. But as I may have already mentioned, I have a serviceman coming, and as is usual for those type of things, I was only given a window of when they might actually be here. That window started about 32 minutes ago. Haven't heard from them yet. And I'm reluctant to get into a 40-plus minute row when I might get interrupted. I have been trying to keep my meters to an even number just for simplicity's sake in tracking for the American Cancer Society's 62,000 meter fundraiser challenge. Even though I have blown past that 62,000 meters, still have it in my head that that number needs to stay an even number, and it really doesn't. And after today, it probably won't. After yesterday, it probably shouldn't. So here's my dilemma. I don't want to call it a dilemma because it's not anything earth-shattering or life-altering. But on the Concept 2 rowers, when you do an interval row like I did yesterday, I did 1,000-meter row and then 20 kettlebell swings. 20 with my 60-pounder is plenty for a break between rowing. I gave myself, I think, about 3 minutes between rows to do the swings, kind of catch my breath, dry my hands. You don't ever want to row with wet hands or even moist hands. You will tear them up with blisters. So I gave myself that 3 minutes, I think is what it was, between intervals. So my conundrum is, you don't just row and stop and your meters stop. Much like rowing a boat in water, I would imagine, because I have not done that. But also like pedaling a bike, which I have done a lot of. When you stop pedaling, you don't stop moving, much the same way when you stop rowing, you see those meters kind of come to a stop, not immediate stop. So I hit that 1,000 meters on the interval, and the machine, if you're not familiar with Concept 2 rowers, it will actually count meters that it calls rest meters. Those are the meters that your quote-unquote boat drifts to a stop. In the logbook, where you track your meters for rows, I always count my rest meters. If I was doing a race and I was pedaling my bike for, say, 100 miles, I could actually pedal 99.9 miles and then just cruise on downhill and cross the finish line, and I still get credit for 100 miles. Kind of feel like the same thing with the row. I only counted the 8,000 meters worth of interval rows that I did. But I feel like I ought to be able to count the meters that I earned by rowing hard enough to drift to a stop, which would be, as Concept 2 calls them, my rest meters. They're rest meters because I earned that rest. The machine didn't do those meters by itself. So, just saying, if you see some odd numbers, on my meter total? That's why. I'm taking every meter that I rode. I think that's fair. So, anyway, I'll quit rambling and get started on my routine and hopefully hear from my plumber soon. Peace out. Okay, so here I am. I got my row in. I think that might be all I get done today. I'm just stupid tired. Yeah, I'm tired.